Honey, she is more deserving. Mom reported that as she was arranging the gourmet cupcakes on the tiered display stand, she didn't even look up. Jessica has consistently shown greater commitment to her studies. You've always been interested in other things. It hurt more to be casually dismissed than to be slapped by her. I was standing in the kitchen of my parents. I still have my medical school diploma in its frame. I'm attempting to comprehend what I just heard. Both of us graduated with honors, Mom. Our GPAs were exactly the same. My hands trembled a little, but my voice remained calm. Why you and Dad would settle all of Jessica's debts, but not mine, is beyond me. Audrey. At last, I saw my mother's side looking up at me with that recognizable look of slight disappointment. Dr. Fleming is a wealthy mentor who is not interested in your sister's destiny. You have always been in a better position. Jessica didn't. It nearly made me chuckle. My research advisor, Dr. Vivian Fleming, was someone I had won through 80-hour work weeks in the lab, while Jessica was skiing in Aspen with our parents. My twin sister had benefited from our parents' unfailing financial and emotional support, while I had worked myself to the bone. I'm getting punished for spotting mentorship possibilities on my own. I tried not to sound hurt when I asked. As he entered, my father wrapped his arm around my mother's shoulders. Audrey, no one is punishing you. All we're doing is being sensible. You don't require as much aid as your sister does. You've always had more ingenuity. Inventive. When traveling across the nation to see Jessica's volleyball tournaments, they use this word to excuse their failure to attend my undergraduate research presentations. Resourceful. Their justification for Jessica's 21st birthday automobile purchase. In the meantime, I was given a gift card to a gas station. Jessica's debt-free celebration party was scheduled for tomorrow. Naturally, that was my parents' idea. Her friends' extended family, and even a few of our former teachers were invited. According to the invitations, Jessica's accomplishment was celebrated as though she had graduated debt-free from medical school rather than our parents' financial choice. I had to leave. As I finally gathered my luggage, I said, "Tomorrow is an early shift at the hospital. Are you still planning to attend Jessica's party?" Mom finally raised her voice in concern as she questioned. Not for myself, but for the potential impact of my absence on my sister's special day. I promised to be there. I was walking to my car when my phone rang with a message from Dr. Fleming, even though the thought made my stomach turn. "I have an urgent matter to discuss with you regarding the Patterson Fellowship." Significant news. I gazed at the display. A chilly insight descended upon me. Favoritism from my parents was more than just unfair. It was going to get embarrassing in public. Furthermore, I felt powerless to stop what was about to happen. From the day we were born, my twin sister Jessica and I had been on very different paths. According to family legend, I got there first and she came 6 minutes later. While Jessica let out loud, healthy cries to proclaim her birth, I remained silent and perceptive. That might have been the starting point for everything that transpired during our Cleveland youth. Jessica was the gregarious twin who was good in athletics and had no trouble making friends. I was more reserved and scholarly, learning about anything from zoology to astronomy while spending hours at our neighborhood library. All of Jessica's dancing performances and soccer matches were attended by our parents. High school gave me a brief pat on the head and a "good job, Audrey," for my science fair triumphs. When we both declared our ambition to become doctors, the pattern was set in stone. Our parents appeared to be quite happy for Jessica. There were worried discussions regarding my workload and my capacity to manage the pressure. It takes more than intelligence to succeed in medical school. My father had warned Audrey. It all comes down to tenacity and desire. Jessica has consistently challenged herself. The irony hurt. While attending Ohio State for undergraduate studies, I worked part-time to pay my bills while maintaining a flawless GPA. When Jessica wanted to repeat the MCAT, our parents were happy to supply her with costly tutors because she had trouble with organic chemistry and physics. They purchased a premium preparatory course. They just nodded and murmured, "That's nice, dear." When I scored in the 98th percentile on my first try, I never hated Jessica no matter what. I loved her, and she was my twin and sister. Favoritism from our parents wasn't created by her. It only worked out well for her. At times, I even believed that their apparent preference made her uneasy. We were accepted to the same medical school in Michigan, and for 4 years we studied together, helped one another through difficult rotations, and shared in each other's accomplishments, even though she never mentioned it directly. Maybe I reasoned our parents will finally perceive us as equally successful. Rather, they came up with fresh ways to highlight Jessica's accomplishments and downplay mine. Jessica had just won a community service award when I was chosen to present my study at a national conference. The same weekend. Which event did our parents attend, you ask? But in our last year, everything changed when my research on juvenile traumatic brain injuries caught the attention of renowned neurosurgeon Dr. Vivian Fleming. I thrived under her guidance. I had someone who encouraged me to succeed and saw my potential for the first time. It's because of my nature, not in spite of it. Audrey, you have a talent for research. It is impossible to teach that kind of insight, according to Dr. Fleming, once you recognize patterns that others overlook. I wish my folks could view me the way she does. I went to see Dr. Fleming in her office the morning of Jessica's celebration. In her 60s, she was a stunning woman with silver hair and sharp blue eyes that never missed anything. Her office walls were adorned with pictures of international medical celebrities, published papers, and prizes. She motioned to the chair across from her desk and said, "Sit down, Audrey. I have some amazing news." My heart pounded. For weeks. The most prominent neurosurgical research job in the nation, the Patterson Fellowship at Johns Hopkins, was something I had been eager to learn more about. It would be awarded to just one graduating medical student each country. The Patterson Fellowship decision has been made by the committee. With a deliberately neutral demeanor, Dr. Fleming spoke. I didn't breathe. "You've been chosen!" She smiled widely as she spoke. "Dr. Audrey Collins, congratulations! Baltimore is your destination." Waves of joy, incredulity, and vindication washed over me. The ultimate accomplishment for any neuroscientist is the Patterson Fellowship. Mine I stumbled, unsure of what to say. "Doctor," Fleming stated firmly, "you earned this. Your work on post-traumatic damage neurovascular regeneration was revolutionary." The committee was especially impressed by your dual strategy, which combined innovative surgery with medication. A substantial income housing allowance, and above all, total loan forgiveness were all part of the fellowship. Like Jessica, I would have no debt, but I would have earned it on my own merits rather than via family partiality. Dr. Fleming went on, her eyes sparkling. "There's more! Tonight is Jessica's celebration, and I've been invited. As a courtesy, your parents invited the instructors who were unaware of our mentorship. If it's okay with you, I'd like to share the fellowship news there." I felt sick to my stomach. "I'm not sure, Dr. Fleming. My folks could think I'm trying to take away Jessica's attention on what should be her night." The look on Dr. Fleming's face hardened a bit. "Audrey, I've spent the last 2 years observing the dynamics of your family. I've seen your folks at events at the hospital. I've heard them talk about you and your sister. I can see why you might be hesitant, but sometimes acknowledgement must be made public in order to be given at all." Of course, she was correct. My parents would find a way to downplay the fellowship or blame it on luck, rather than hard work if they learned about it in private. "All right?" Slowly I nodded. "You have the option to declare it." As I walked out of her office, Jessica texted me and my phone buzzed. "Tonight, Mom is going too far. It's embarrassing. I wish she had taken the time to celebrate our graduation together. I'll see you there." Heart. Confused, I gazed at the message. Jessica had never before acknowledged our parents' unfair treatment. Before I could come up with a reply, I received another text, this one from my mom. "Remember that tonight is business casual. Additionally, please give your sister her time. For her, this is really important." There was a startling difference between the two communications. Maybe tonight would bring to light everything my parents have been avoiding for the past 26 years, and maybe I had been mistaken about Jessica all along. An elegant restaurant in downtown Detroit was hosting Jessica's debt-free celebration. The entire rooftop patio was hired out by my parents, which was an extravagant move that undoubtedly cost thousands of dollars. The words, "Congratulations, Dr. Jessica," "Schoit," were displayed on a giant banner as I exited the elevator. I took a big breath and smoothed down my navy blue dress, without mentioning that there were now 2 Dr. Collins in the family. Jessica's night was this one. I wouldn't allow years of bitterness to destroy my bond with my twin Audrey, no matter what Dr. Fleming had in store. Jessica saw me right away and rushed over, separating herself from a group of relatives. Her blonde hair, which was the same color as mine, but cut in a stylish bob, looked gorgeous in a silver cocktail dress, while mine remained long and immaculately maintained. "I'm glad you are here. I've been asked 5 times by Aunt Patty if I've found a guy yet." Despite my nervousness, I laughed. "You told her what that medicine is my spouse. However, I'm accepting applications if she knows of any qualified neurosurgeons." Jessica put my arm around hers. "Really though, this is absurd. Half of the medical school was invited by Mom. It's Dean Wilson." I looked around the packed terrace, and sure enough, I saw the dean talking to our father. Whoa, they truly gave it their all. "It's embarrassing." Jessica spoke more quietly. "And why?" "Only for me. Both of us received our degrees. We both put in a lot of work." My tummy knot lessened a little. Jessica might have been more conscious than I had thought. "Audrey, Jessica." Our mother showed up holding a bottle of champagne. "The Hendersons have just arrived, Jessica. You recall Cleveland Memorial's chief surgeon, Thomas Henderson. Come say hello." She looked back at me after taking Jessica's arm, thereby separating us. "Audrey, will you please see if the gluten-free selections have been posted by the caterers? Once more, your cousin Beth is being picky about her nutrition." I was demoted to catering management without warning. Jessica was paraded in front of hospital officials. A few things remained constant. I was pointing waiters to the right table when Dr. Fleming showed in. Dressed elegantly in a crimson pantsuit, she effortlessly commanded attention. She hugged me and murmured, "Audrey, are you prepared to hear our news?" I said I'm not sure. The timing seems a little off. Dr. Fleming looked around the party, seeing the carefully decorated cake with simply Jessica's name on it, the banner and the slideshow of pictures that showed Jessica in the main spotlight, with me periodically in the background. "I see," she muttered. More intricate than I had thought. I watched from the other side of the balcony as my parents presented Jessica to Detroit Medical Center's head neurosurgeon, Dr. Margaret Wu, with whom Jessica and I had sought for residency places. I felt my gut tighten. Were they attempting to use personal ties to get Jessica a spot? My father had seen her and was now coming toward her, accompanied by my mother and Jessica, Dr. Fleming. "It is truly a privilege to have you here. I am aware that you and Audrey have worked together. Some labor." Dr. Fleming's eyebrows went up. "For the past 2 years, Audrey has been my main research collaborator. Her input was crucial to the success of our study on traumatic brain damage." My parents looked at each other. "How lovely" was beyond my comprehension. My mom said incoherently, "Jessica has also been actively interested in studies related to neurosurgery. Actually, Dr. Wu simply expressed her admiration for Jessica's application to her program." Anger sprang to the surface of my cheeks. Jessica hadn't researched neurosurgery. She concentrated on a completely other field, neuropsychiatry. Her experience was being flagrantly misrepresented by my parents, possibly at the detriment of my own chances. I could see a hard glimmer in Dr. Fleming's eyes, but her face remained friendly. "Is that correct? How intriguing. I thought Jessica was more interested in psychiatric applications than in surgical procedures." Our little group slipped into an uncomfortable stillness. My hope trap was closing in on me. Instead of improving the situation, this news was likely to make it worse. My parents, Jessica, our grandparents, and Dr. Who were all sat at the head table for the evening's meal portion. I was seated at a secondary table with family, friends, and cousins, close enough to listen in on the talk, but not to join in. Jessica's destiny was always clear to us. Even when the kids were young, Jessica demonstrated such tenacity, my father told Dr. Wu. She has consistently been our aspirational one. Words were like little daggers. With little appetite, I pushed my food around my plate. Dr. Fleming, who was seated nearby with other faculty members, would occasionally glance at me with pity. My father stood up and tapped his glass to get attention after dessert was served. We appreciate everyone's attendance as we commemorate our daughter Jessica's outstanding accomplishment. As many of you are aware, it is very remarkable to graduate from medical school not only with a degree but also debt-free, as it is an extremely demanding journey. The audience gave a courteous applause. Jessica became more and more uneasy. We consider ourselves fortunate to have been able to help Jessica during her academic career. As she stood up to join my father, my mother added, "We knew she would make us proud, therefore we always thought it was worthwhile to invest in her future." Hot tears threatened to fall from my eyes as I gazed at my plate. The language was accurate. Instead of investing in both of their daughters, they had done so in Jessica. Actually, the message couldn't be more clear, Jessica exclaimed as she abruptly sprang to her feet. "I have something to say." She gave me a sharp look while apologizing. "The festivities seem unfinished. Audrey and I had the same GPA when we graduated. We both put in a ton of work, but to be honest, Audrey put in more because she didn't have the support system." Yes, I had. The crowd became silent. My parents appeared in disbelief. "Jessica," my mom murmured. "Now is not the moment." Jessica emphasized that it's precisely the right moment. Recognition that leaves out my sister is unacceptable to me. It has never been right, and it isn't. Emotion clenched in my throat. Jessica was now addressing the issue in public after all these years. It was devastating and vindicating. My father bounced back fast, his tone too cheerful. "We're proud of both of our girls, of course. Audrey has also performed admirably. However, tonight is about commemorating Jessica's debt-free status, which is a noteworthy accomplishment. Not something I earned, but something you made possible," Jessica retorted in a firm but steady voice. One could feel the tension in the room. My parents had always feared this scene, and it was rapidly becoming the same. In public, their flawless family image is being flaunted. Dr. Fleming decided to stand at that point. "If I may contribute something to this discussion," her commanding tone broke through the whispers as she spoke. "I think it would be a good time to share some Audrey news that many of you might not know about." My parents looked at each other anxiously. Audrey has been awarded the Patterson Fellowship at Johns Hopkins for her work on neurovascular regeneration, Dr. Fleming declared. "For those who don't know, this is the nation's most coveted job for a medical student who is about to graduate. It includes a sizable stipend and complete loan forgiveness." Murmurs and gasps filled the room. Dr. Wu had a fresh interest in me. My cousins were chatting eagerly in whispers. Dr. Fleming went on to say that the selection committee particularly highlighted Audrey's creative dual approach methodology, which she created mainly on her own while juggling a rigorous clinical rotation schedule. Although I've had the honor of coaching a number of bright medical professionals, I've rarely seen the commitment and wisdom that Audrey constantly exhibits. Applause broke out in the room. Sincere, heartfelt cheers for me. People were nodding respectfully and smiling as they turned in their chairs to face me. My parents didn't move. When parents realized that their meticulously crafted narrative about their girls was publicly coming apart, their reactions were a complex mixture of shock, bewilderment, and dawning terror. Jessica had a big smile on her face and showed no signs of jealousy. Dr. Fleming was not done yet. "I'm also happy to say that I personally made arrangements for our department's Merit Scholarship Fund to pay the remaining balance of Audrey's medical school loans." The board unanimously agreed to acknowledge her exceptional contributions to our research program. I had earned my debt-free status as well. Following Dr. Fleming's statement, the festivities took a significant turn. I was now being approached by faculty members who had previously shown interest in Jessica, who wanted to know about my study and congratulate me on the fellowship. A number of my clinical supervisors told me positive things about my work with patients that I didn't even know they had observed. My parents' astonished expressions were still visible as they sat at their table. They weren't merely taking in the information about my loan forgiveness and camaraderie. They were seeing the story they had created about their daughters being dismantled. Professional adulation was now focused on the quiet, independent twin they had always ignored. With champagne in hand, Jessica walked over to join me. She clinked her glass on mine and murmured, "Congratulations, sis. The Patterson Fellowship. That's amazing. How come you didn't tell me?" I said I didn't want to ruin your celebration because I only learned this morning. Jessica scowled. "I didn't come up with this absurd party. Mom and Dad did. You know how they get after they've made up their minds, but I tried to convince them it was excessive and unjust to you. Did you?" Startled, I asked. "I did, of course." Jessica appeared to be in pain. "I've always known that they treated us differently, Audrey. I simply had no idea how to resolve it without making everything worse. Before I could answer, we were approached by Dr. Margaret Wu. She looked at me and said, "Dr. Collins, the way that Dr. Fleming described your research really pleased me. We ought to talk about the possibility of you bringing your work to our neurosurgery department rather than Johns Hopkins." I blinked, startled. "Dr. Wu, that's really flattering, but she's already agreed to the Patterson." Jessica confidently put her arm around my shoulders and interrupted. "This opportunity comes only once in a lifetime. However, you should be aware that my sister never takes on a single revolutionary task at a time. Within months of coming to Baltimore, I'm willing to wager that she will be working on another groundbreaking study." Dr. Wu grinned. "Well, remember Detroit when you finish the fellowship. You'd be a blessing to us." She gave Jessica a nod. "You are both experts in your fields." I turned to look at Jessica in awe when she left. "That wasn't necessary for you to accomplish. I can still stay in Detroit, which I know you desired for your residency," Jessica said. "However, I will not allow you to lose out on possibilities or allow Mom and Dad to control the situation. I don't want to be that person." Finally, I noticed my folks getting up from their table across the room and cautiously approaching us. Their leisurely journey was broken up by visitors who wanted to discuss me a new experience that was obviously uncomfortable for them. "They're coming," Jessica whispered. "Are you prepared for this?" "Not really," I said. "Dr. Fleming's remarks about you were impressive, to be sure." When they finally arrived at our location, my father spoke in a tone that was precisely calibrated to sound proud while concealing his bewilderment. "That's a great honor, the Patterson Fellowship. Why didn't you inform us that you were even in the running for such a prestigious position?" With a note of reproach in her voice, my mother questioned, "Would it have made a difference?" Quietly, I asked. "You've said clearly where you stand and what interests you." My parents looked at each other uncomfortably. "Audrey, that's not fair," my dad started. "We've always given you both various kind of help." My mother spoke up right away. "You each had distinct requirements. Therefore, we provided you with different forms of support." Jessica gave a headshake. "Let's not do this tonight, Mom and Dad. However, we will soon have a serious discussion about this. Every one of us." She looked at me thoughtfully. "No more acting like you're someone you're not." I felt Dr. Fleming at my elbow, avoiding the need for me to reply. "The dean wants to speak, Audrey. There's something about the alumni magazine highlighting your fellowship." She gave my folks a smile. Her eyes were steely, but her demeanor was sweet. "You must feel so happy to have brought up two girls with such success. However, it must be very satisfying to see Audrey's efforts acknowledged. She has, after all, triumphed." Despite being modest, the focus on overcome was clear. My parents were gracious enough to appear ashamed. My mother, however, said feebly, "Audrey has always been unique to us. Too late, too little." It was a life-changing week following the celebration. As word of my Patterson Fellowship circulated around Detroit's medical community, doors that had previously been closed to me abruptly opened. Former instructors who had denied my extension but granted Jessica's were now congratulating me via email. During my 4 years of medical school, classmates who had hardly noticed my existence suddenly claimed to be close friends. In the meantime, my parents were trying to limit the damage. The day after the party, they had arrived at my apartment with fake grins and gift bags we have been considering. As he set a tiny package on my coffee table, my father spoke. "With you both graduating and beginning your professional lives, we ought to get you ladies a nice present. We have this for you." There was a rose gold watch inside, just like the one they'd given Jessica 6 months prior for her birthday. "It's beautiful," I said a little late, but without reaching for it. My mom winced. "We understand that you may feel underappreciated at times, Audrey, but we took all the actions we did because we felt you were capable of handling difficulties on your own." Jessica required additional assistance. "That is an easy story to tell," I answered, maintaining a steady tone. "It doesn't, however, explain why you went to her presentations, but not mine. While you paid for her living expenses throughout medical school, you advised me to take out additional loans for mine, and you paid for her MCAT prep course while telling me to use free internet resources." "Audrey, we can only spend so much money," my dad objected. "We had to decide." Indeed you did. I concurred and you always went with Jessica. Tears filled my mother's eyes. Both of you are equally loved by us. She was adamant. Perhaps you do. I gave in, but you haven't been fair to us. And belated recognition and watches won't alter that. Dr. Fleming was phoning to talk about my impending move to Baltimore when the phone rang. I turned away from my parents' shocked expressions and gave an appreciative response. I said over the phone, "Yes, I'm available to discuss the housing options." Your timing is flawless, in fact. After 3 weeks, I found myself standing in my vacant apartment with the final boxes packed and prepared for the moving company. Jessica watched me tape up the last book container while she sat on the ledge. "You're leaving next week, and I still can't believe it," she said. "Without you, Detroit won't be the same. You won't miss my absence because you'll be too preoccupied with your residency." It seems as if it contained truth. Although we had been inseparable during medical school, we were now on different paths. To Johns Hopkins, she remains at Detroit Medical. "I can't stop thinking about what my parents did," Jessica stated abruptly, or I suppose didn't. I believed that I was fortunate to have received more attention from them throughout the years. But in reality, they were preventing me from moving forward and making me reliant on their approval. I took a seat on the windowsill next to her. "Jess, you did not do anything wrong," she retorted. "I didn't do enough right either." I ought to have raised my voice sooner. She let out a sigh. "You know they're distraught. Mom is often sobbing about how much you must despise them. As if he personally funded your research. Dad is telling everyone he can about his smart daughter at Johns Hopkins." I was surprised at how little that affected me now, so I said, "Let them. I am no longer defined by their acceptance," and that was accurate. The never-ending pain of trying to get approval from parents who would never really see me had finally gone away. I had learned what true support looked like from Dr. Fleming's mentorship, who pushed me when I needed it, protecting me when I needed it, and perceiving my potential without reservation at all times. "What comes next?" Jessica inquired. "I mean with us." I grasped her hand. "We figure things out on our own, minus the rivalry they induced between us." "That would be nice." Jessica squeezed my hand and grinned. "Audrey Collins, MD, is a Patterson Fellow. Sis, I'm so proud of you." I felt totally at ease for the first time in years. Though difficult, the road ahead was obvious and completely up to me to follow at my own pace.